Hi. Just I'm trying to think of creative new things, and I hit the button and I blank out like a son of a bitch. So,
that's why I did the Mr. Hanky, because it's the Christmas season.
It is the Christmas season. Merry Christmas season. Happy holidays. Festivus for the rest of us. Whatever your pleasure is. Welcome. Hello. Hey, Rob. Thank you for joining us here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, those of you who are live. I'm JJ. That's Jamie. That's Austin. We're coming back at you here with another episode of Total Spotfest. How have you gentlemen been this beginning of the Christmas season?
I've personally been fine, as I informed y'all pre-show. One of our dogs had to have a fairly expensive dental surgery, so that was not ideal, but little man is doing just fine, and he's going to be better, so that's always good. And I always justify it with, at least we don't have kids, so like the occasional big expense for a dog is still minor in relative terms.
Yeah, Jamie's sitting here laughing at your bill and being like, that's it? Shit. Jamie's looking at tuition now because since Megan the Tyrant decided to choose a college finally, so that's good fun.
Yeah, no softball scholarship, but it's fine.
That's
Turn it down. I'm not bitter. Not bitter at all.
You've always said, Jamie, you want
it's
just
your choice.
One.
I just want one that I don't have to pay
You've
for.
Got two more shots. Two more shots.
Two more shots. It's all right. No, she's smart. She's doing good. I'm proud of her no matter what.
That's cool. That's good. And to be fair, she's not going far away too, which is nice, So
yes,
somebody who only went to college a half hour from home. It's actually pretty nice, not just for the student, the kid, but for the parents too, because my mom definitely had trouble. My mom was a little bit clingy at times when I was younger. And so, they would occasionally just randomly show up on a Sunday afternoon to take me out to lunch, so it's nice.
So speaking of not going too far away, I figured we'd start with this.
Yeah.
There are reports out of Sports Illustrated as of yesterday, I believe. Vince McMahon has no plans to leave WWE. The report notes that McMahon sold so much stock because he needed to have the money liquid.
This is my shocked face. None of that surprises me in the least. Like, the only way Vince is leaving out of WWE is one of two ways. He dies, or whoever the fuck owns them now. I don't even know their name. TKO, right? They
Ari Emanuel.
If he strong arms him out publicly, right? That's the only way he's really relinquishing.
So I did read a report recently that shareholders of WWE, or the previous business entity that was WWE, were filing a lawsuit alleging that McMahon took the TKO deal, even though there were better deals out there, explicitly because it did keep him in charge, which right. I'm pretty sure amounts to a significant penalty, but probably not too significant because he is a rich old white man.
Exactly. I mean, me and Jamie forever had said, they're going to, Disney, right? I am sure Disney threw stupid amounts of money at them, but it came with a very real stipulation that you're gone, right? You don't fit our wholesome Disney image.
Yeah.
I would say not only that, but like when they merge with merge with Endeavor, and it's still not as big of a disparity as getting bought out by Disney, the like largest entertainment company in the history of entertainment. Like, they're going to do what they want because they're Disney, and Disney does what Disney wants.
Exactly.
Like getting rid of the Disney Plus app and merging to Hulu here shortly, because no one wants to pay for all of that. No, but in addition, McMahon, they say that he still has great power within the organization. He's more focused on dealing with tasks Endeavor. Our CEO, Ari Emanuel, assigns to him right now. So that's what he's kind of doing right now. He's more behind the scenes, and he is no longer in charge of creative, as we all know, as we've seen in the past few weeks. Yeah, it's better. It's still entertainment, but it's not as, terrible.
So that description sounds like he only exists in the business in name only now, because when they don't define specific responsibilities, he's like, oh, he handles special tasks the CEO gives him. Okay, sure you do, buddy. Like, you sit at home and collect your money, and they tell you not to make any more problems from what you already have. That sounds like that's what's going on there.
I used to work with a guy when I was doing automotive websites. I used to work with a guy that he thought he was making a name for himself in the industry. He was really just burying a hole for himself. But he had taken the liberty of even like creating his own job title for his signature and all this stuff. He was the account manager in charge of special projects, right? He made a very keen effort to let everybody know that he does special projects. I take care of special projects. I do this. Well, he's especially not there anymore. Not much longer after that, Amazingly, he blew off one of his eyes in a firework incident before then, so he got AD&D in the middle of it. But yeah, I don't know how special that project was, but generally speaking, when you do that, it's catamount to, what do? A whole lot of nothing, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, so my understanding after seeing some of this is, I agree with Austin, is he's just there in the background. Mm-hmm. He's not allowed to have a personal masseuse anymore, that type of stuff, and he's the quarterback for the Browns. So there you go.
Frickin' Browns.
I was going to say, though, like, on the other hand, I could see TKO still having Vince do plenty of shit. This is the company that employs Dana White, who slapped his wife on camera for everybody to see like 9 months ago. And they pretty much just shrugged and said, what are you going to do about it? And just moved on.
Like, literally no one cared. Like, it's still baffling to me.
They were mad for like literally 12 hours. There was uproar and then it was gone.
I feel like that just tells you how low the bar for Dana White is, because that happens, and for like 99% of people, you would be extremely shocked. And then it's like, oh, the dude that just pays dudes to fight each other for money and doesn't pay them all that well, the sleazy fight promoter, hit his wife. You would kind of be like, well, yeah, that tracks. I could see that happening.
Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah.
I gotta say, like, while I do not defend him in any way, shape, or form, the balls to come out and say, you know what, they could punish me, but I got to live with that for the rest of my life. So that nothing's worse than that. And then just move on was such an outrageous move that it blows my mind that he could just confidently come out and say that. And somehow it worked. Like, people just forgot about it.
Yeah, it's very weird. We were talking a little bit about some, somehow we got on the topic of like canceled wrestlers before we got on here. So we were talking about some of them.
We sure did.
Talking about Joey Ryan and Marty Scurll, Tessa Blanchard, right? You know what all these have in common? They're not along the same lines as, I don't know, Hulk Hogan maybe, who's, and it's just under that umbrella, man. Just the rain don't hit you.
I don't get it. I just don't get it. But, it is what it is.
I actually did watch a little bit of the Fed this week. Not a ton. I watched a couple matches on Raw, though. I watched the women's tag match. That was good fun to see. There's actually some different people in there, which is nice. They had Kaden and Casey, or whatever the hell she's going by now. Katana. Why you need to change? Whatever. I'm not doing that. I watched a couple other matches. It was not bad. I did note, though, find it mildly entertaining that I saw the headline that apparently the reason you didn't see CM Punk really dig in and start to tear into specifics in AEW and stuff like that, because apparently he has a morality clause in his contract where there's an NDA. That's what it is. There's an NDA that he has where he can't talk about AEW.
And he also does have a behavior clause, to your point, too. He's got both.
He's
got a behavior clause on the WWE side, and he had the NDA from the AEW side. So, he hit the nail right on the head when he's there. He said, I'm not there to make friends. Like,
I also imagine there is a team of like several dozen corporate lawyers that were like, do not mention AEW. Other people can take jabs, but with your situation, don't touch it. We're not dealing with that.
Yeah.
My over-under still stands. Let's say by SummerSlam.
Actually, really quick though, Fed news. Speaking of legal teams, this popped me because this is one of the most WWE things ever. Did y'all see that they had to start blurring out the yeet on Jey Uso's shirt because some indie wrestler trademarked it like 3 years ago?
Yes.
They just didn't bother to check.
That's a Sierra Mist situation right there. Come on, y'all.
That is probably right behind the time that they called, who was it, Charlotte, Sasha, and Becky or whatever, the submission sorority for like a week before they Googled that and realized that's not a good name.
Yeah.
They do that all the time.
They are the worst. And you'd think they would be the absolute best at figuring that stuff out.
As big as they are, they got people.
Yeah, how do you not have a team of like 21-year-old interns that you run shit by? We're like, hey, is any of this something to the youths that we can't put on TV?
Why don't you have one mark in the basement with a bunch of Doritos and Mountain Dew just on the internet 24/7? I mean, come on. It's like, really?
Yeah. So in return news also for the Fed, Nikita Lyons is back, ladies and gentlemen. I know everybody's really excited about that, especially JJ. With our new shirt out that says Giat on it. I'm kidding. But it's coming. It's coming. I'm guaranteeing it now. It's coming. She's going to have a Giat shirt. And that's something the kids say. The only reason I know that is because I have kids.
I have no idea what that word was either time you said it.
Yeah, it's a TikTok thing.
It's a TikTok thing. Okay.
So all the kids, it'll resonate with the kids.
So she's saying yacht because whatever.
It stands for girl, your ass is thick. Yep.
I was unaware of that. I don't TikTok.
Yeah, well, I don't TikTok to what my girls TikTok. I TikTok to wrestling and horror stuff. Like it's jokes, like dark humor. Like those are the three things that are my For You page.
Well, I know that because you send me like 4 TikTok links a week. It's just some random like stupid funny shit. So
I follow this one guy. All he does is post Macho Man shit. This is the best thing ever.
I got a group chat going with some wrestling buddies that are in their like mid-20s. So they'll send a link of anything on TikTok worth checking out. So I don't have to filter all that myself.
give me the Cliff Note versions of TikTok, you kids. Let's go.
Yeah, send me the highlights. Give me the Sports Center package.
So Heather brings up a good point about bad names. Is when Drew McIntyre and Sheamus were called the Banger Bros for a hot second. Remember that?
Yeah.
Oh my god, that's so good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, though, you do always hear about like disgruntled writers and the high turnover in writers. I wonder if like there's a cycle where a WWE writer gets there for a while, realizes it's a terrible work environment. They're not planning on staying long. They're like, I'm going to see what I can get on TV without that 70-something-year-old man noticing. And sometimes it works.
I have a strong feeling that's probably very accurate. So,
Yeah.
Good for Nikki Alliance. Somebody who hasn't returned yet, but there's been some movement on it. We didn't talk about this last week. Was Mercedes Moné, and it's interesting, kind of the internet scuttle. We talked a little bit about this with CM Punk last week, right? You know, about the loyalist camps and how they are just bad. Just stop it. Just chill, bro. Right? But whenever there's a big something or another, there's always the ripple effect. This happened with Adam Copeland. It happened the last time CM Punk. Again, there's the thought process of CM Punk's back in WWE. Does this tip the scales or move it for Mercedes Moné, Sasha Banks, or anybody else? Because around the same time, there's a video put out of her training on the internet. So she's training again. She's back in the ring. Not cleared, of course, for action, apparently, but she's getting ready to go back to wrestling. So do you guys think that we're going to get Sasha Banks back? Do you think Mercedes Moné is going to go somewhere else? Where's your mind at on this?
If I had to bet one way or the other, I would take a Sasha Banks return to WWE. Probably about 60-40 leaning that way.
Okay.
It seems like a situation where she was probably a bit burned out, frustrated with creative. She left, got to go wrestle in Japan, do a couple matches, got hurt, which she tends to do on a fairly frequent basis. But then WWE right now is not the same place as when she left. Now you've got Triple H in charge. You're getting a different style of show. You're seeing the women have had a much bigger focus over the last year or so in WWE than they had previously. And I did read a report recently where WWE is starting to offer a lot of money to re-sign people because they don't want any talent to leave. I'm sure the offer to come back would be huge. Now, we did just hear that AEW outbid WWE for Ospreay, so like the money could be there. But I definitely could see her taking a break for a couple of years and then just going back to something familiar where she knows what she's going to get.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're really close. I'm more 60-40 AEW, actually. I'm just tilted the other way. And here's why. Freedom. I think with AEW, she has all the freedom in the world. If she wants to still wrestle in Japan for a little bit, she can still wrestle in Japan, which she said she loved and she wants to continue to do. She's been on the record for that, so she gets that freedom. Plus, she'd be the star in AEW for the women. Like, head and shoulders above every other woman that's there. I mean, Timeless Toni Storm right now is kind of a megastar in my opinion. We're gonna get into that in just a second, but I can't see her not wanting that spotlight, because if she goes back to WWE, yes, the pop will be huge, and it will wear off quick, because Sasha will just be part of the machine at that point, right? Where Mercedes will be the main cog in that machine. And I think she yearns for that kind of stuff and more creative control. Yes, WWE has done some good things lately, wanting the people to spend more time with their families, which I think is an absolutely excellent idea. I'm surprised it took this long. Oh, wait, no, I'm not, because Vince. But, the talks of them reducing house shows too, so they're not on the road 290 days a year or whatever crazy number it was, and it's just one of those things. Like, I saw one wrestler, Dominic Mysterio. He was the first wrestler, it's December, to wrestle 100 matches.
Yeah, that's
for Fed, and that's usually done by Memorial Day. Yeah. Insane. So I mean, that's why, like, I could see her going there, but I think if she wants the big spotlight and be in charge of everything, it's got to be the AEW side.
And I tend to agree with Jamie. I mean, personally, I think it's, if I had to put numbers on it, since apparently that's what we're doing, I'm gonna say 70-30. Oh. Not WWE. Doesn't mean AEW necessarily, but not WWE. I think that she has been on record as saying that the time she spent this past year in doing indie stuff for just shows, not shows, but, appearances, plus the New Japan, was the most money she made in wrestling since she's been wrestling. Okay, she's been on record of saying that. Now, we know New Japan threw a lot of money at her to come over there for very little in ring return, right? But they didn't care, right? They just wanted to have her over there. That being said, I agree with Jamie on the fact that she's got other things she got going on. She can do some Japan. She might pop her head in AEW a little bit. She's got stuff in Hollywood she's got going on, right? There's all sorts of things. And we don't know the full details, because that bridge that got burnt on her way out, that was pretty hefty for her and Trinity both to just, go from the champions one day to damn near blacklisted. I'm not saying that's 100% anybody, because I don't know the details behind exactly what happened. Was that Vince? Is that everybody? Creative? I don't know. I'm not going to assume. But that was a very messy divorce they had the first time. And can it be forgiven? Yes. Has it happened in WWE? All the freaking time. Look at like
2 weeks ago.
How many? Yeah. every instance of a return ever, pretty much, you can look at, But I think that for the time being, I can see her going somewhere else more likely, is all I'm saying.
That's fair. And I wouldn't be sad if she went to AEW. That would be preferable, because that's the show I actually watch regularly. I could just see it. One, with the Hollywood stuff, I think signing a couple year deal with WWE is a better avenue to get more to the Hollywood stuff.
Yeah.
And two, to your point, Jamie, about her, being a bigger cog in the machine, she would be in AEW, but a bigger cog in a smaller machine, specifically referring to the women's division. She can be the queen of the 805 to 820 Dynamite weekly spot, or she could be main eventing premium live events and Raws and things like that.
To play devil's advocate, that could be the missing piece that he needs to build the foundation of a sustainable women's division. Maybe,
but I feel like that seems unlikely.
Still,
I think by this point we just need to accept the offering of women's wrestling we're going to get from AEW. You're going to get a match. You're probably going to get a segment or something. That's your weekly allotment. Would I love to see them flesh out the division, tell better stories, put more time on TV? Absolutely. That's been being brought up for a long time now, and it just seems like this is kind of what they do with the women's division in AEW.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. You're not wrong.
Rob has an unpopular, silly opinion in chat, which leads me to a thought. Is that Sasha will make some appearance in the reboot of TNA before heading to Revolution to debut in AEW.
I mean, does TNA have old TNA money? Does TNA have old TNA money? Because
TNA money through the biggest offer they ever had. It was in the 7 figures at Will Ospreay, is what I read. Now, it didn't compare to the 7 figures plus that Toni and WWE probably threw at him, but he probably got 8 figures. Reports were that they made a competitive offer and a lot of money that they threw out there. So for what it's worth, and we've talked about TNA is what it is, and they're happy where they are, and this and that. They do seem like they're willing to play a little bit. You know, I could see them throw some big money. Hey, come here for a couple months so we do this reboot thing, and then you can go off and do AEW or whatever, right? They've got very good relations with pretty much everybody out there. Shit, they had some of their champions appear in the Royal Rumble in the past few years, for God's sake. I mean, who else has good relations with WWE? Excuse me. Who else does WWE have good relations of as far as this continent's wrestling promotions? Nobody. But they have good relations with AEW, AAA, WWE. So I could see that, Rob. I think that's unlikely, to be honest. But I see why you say it's the unpopular, silly opinion.
It's a tough one, man. I think it'd be cool, but like if we're doing percentiles on this one, I think it's a under 5% chance.
Yeah.
I think
but then you got to throw Samoa Joe in the mix.
I think TNA's smarter to lean on their history, right? Like maybe on the rollout they bring out, Angelina Love and Velvet Sky do a little beautiful people action, something they do on the like the anniversary shows, do a short run of that. You've done kind of a Mickie James throwback for a little bit, right? You did that whole thing. That to me feels more like what TNA will do more than anything else. They actually have a pretty good roster of women.
They definitely do.
To be completely fair, they, for what it's worth, give the most time to women's athletes of any promotion in America on TV.
That's not wrong. So, gentlemen, let's go ahead and talk Dynamite.
Dynamite!
Yeah, let's talk about some Dynamite.
So, JJ, I first off want to apologize about this Dynamite because this Dynamite was not built for you. No.
Not necessarily. No.
There was no flippy spinny shit to be had. There was technical wrestling everywhere.
Out of every pore. Everywhere. Even the women's match. Everywhere.
Technical masterclass of just everywhere. But not without its flaws, ladies and gentlemen. And don't you worry, we're going to talk about it. But I was very impressed with how much technical wrestling, not just brawling. Like, I mean, we'll get into Moxley Roosh. Technical, not overly brawly. It had a nice mixture, and like you had some other matches that have a brawler in there who is now nope, I'm saving. And then
let me ask you, do you think where they were at had anything to play into it? Because Montreal does have a long-standing wrestling history.
Absolutely.
This is Montreal we're talking about here. This is not, Lucha Central. So,
well, the first time somebody was in the corner doing the hit, like you heard half the crowd going, deux, trois, quatre. Like you heard the French Canadians going for it. And then you also heard the 1, 2, 3s, and 4s. Like it was a healthy mix. But I like you could definitely hear it.
Did you catch this, Austin? How they would do chants? They'd start them in English, and then they'd stop, and then they'd redo the chant in French.
Yeah, it was great.
So good. Like French Canadians.
What did you think of the show, Austin?
So I thoroughly enjoyed the show. For the content it had this week and all that. But what I enjoyed even more was the structure of the show. And I think it's time
I'd like to learn
I reached
more
into
about
my
that.
stash
Yeah.
and pulled out a little bit of knowledge.
Learn about some structure here. Let's get some knowledge.
For those of you that may not know, I spent the better part of a year writing and producing and booking a weekly live 2-hour pro wrestling TV show.
We knew that.
It was on in like 9 markets, so I don't know if anyone watched, but it was there. And one thing you realize when you're trying to keep this going for 2 hours every week is you need to find a bit of balance. And I think the Continental Classic, say what you will about the tournament and the format itself,
JB,
but it's started to give Dynamite just the perfect flow and balance of a pro wrestling TV show. This might be a little bit of a hot take, but I think the way they've been structuring the last few weeks is peak pro wrestling TV. You are getting 3 important matches every week that are also, more often than not, really good wrestling matches. So you have a backbone of pro wrestling for your pro wrestling TV show. Then pretty much everything outside of that is your sports entertainment. And there was plenty tonight, your main event, obviously, but even the backstage promos and the segments, they're telling plenty of stories in between and giving you reasons to keep wanting to tune in week after week after week. So yeah, the show tonight, as a whole for its content was great. I enjoyed the entire show. But I really love what they are doing with Dynamite itself and Collision, because it's got the tournament matches as well, where you're getting a few matches that are important, you're getting some matches develop some stories, and you're getting some cool story stuff along the way, backstage and all that as well.
peak TV. So is the former producer of a wrestling? I'll call you producer. I'm going for it. Is the former production head of a wrestling TV show, and you just nerding out every week here, as they've been, because I feel like they've been getting. I'm with you. I feel like they started to find this great rhythm the further they're getting into this tournament, and it's like, yeah, okay.
Absolutely, and there's just a flow to the show now, where you're getting some peaks and some come downs, and it's just peak pro wrestling. Something I kind of realized tonight while I was watching it, not in an exact comparison, but it's kind of reminding me of the Attitude Era a bit, where each segment, now granted the wrestling is a million times better now, but each segment is got something at least kind of interesting more often than not. You're not quite sure what's going to happen next in some of these, and we'll get right into it pretty early on Dynamite. But the Hangman MJF stuff, which we won't go into detail yet.
Put a pin in that for sure,
But stuff like that, I wasn't expecting it. It popped up backstage, and I'm immediately interested. All right, I want to see where this goes. And even the stories they're telling that I'm not 100% into, I'm still interested to see. All right, what's going to happen next?
It's a good take. It's a good take there.
I like it, because you're not wrong. Because I definitely liked tonight's flow. So to your point, like now that you're adding a little bit of, je ne sais quoi. It definitely makes a lot more sense. It's just, like you're,
That's fantastic.
I got nothing, guys.
Thank you for giving us that stash knowledge. Let's get back and talk about some Dynamite. That was a great little amuse-bouche. Let's get into the actual. I worked in restaurants for over a decade. I got them all. We're gonna pull them out.
I know very little French, but we're gonna do our best.
Luc Robitaille, le sacre bleu. Have you seen Super Troopers 2, Austin?
Yes.
Okay. Have you seen
it? It's been a while,
once?
but I have seen it.
Have you seen it more?
No,
than
I've
once?
only seen it the one time.
You gotta watch it like 3. It's like Super Troopers 1. You gotta watch it like by your third time. You're like, oh, this is the shit, right?
Yes.
Right. Because the first one I've seen at least a dozen times. I watched the shit out of the movie back in the day.
Yeah.
The second one, I enjoyed it, but it just seemed like the same movie again, more or less.
Exactly.
A little bit,
Watch it a couple more
And
times.
so
I'm telling you.
now every time I'm feeling like watching Super Troopers, I just watch the first one because that's like the more familiar, nostalgic one.
Me and
But
Jamie
I will give it another watch.
We had the exact same first impressions as you did. It was okay, it was good, and then we both watched it a few more times, and now it's like, oh yes,
a penis in your asshole.
A penis in your asshole.
A penis in your asshole.
A penis. Oh,
penis,
excuse me.
Joy.
Excuse me.
To be happy.
Do you have your party papers? Your paper. Okay, we're gonna stop right now. I'll tell you. Watch it. For those of you all listening, watch Super Troopers. Watch it at least 3 times to get back to us. All
right. So let's just go ahead. You know what? Let's start out chronologically. Okay.
Okay.
We're going to change it up just a little bit and actually go in order. All right. So we're going to start off with the first match in the Gold League of the Coastal Carolina Continental Classic.
Continental Breakfast Classic.
Yes, Continental Breakfast Classic. So you had Jon Moxley versus Roosh.
Yes, please.
Yes, exactly. Yes, please. And it delivered. Like, I knew I was going to love this match. I thought it was going to be, honestly, I hate to say this, I thought it was going to be way more brawly than it was. And it was very technical, and it made my heart very happy.
How hot is Roosh? You've made mention of this, Austin, in the past few weeks, but God, how hot is Roosh right now? Seriously.
Roosh, that was the most surprising thing when I went to that live Collision here in Wichita, was how over Roosh is.
I mean, and I don't feel like they've like overly pushed him. It's just
no. Roosh has it.
Yeah, he's got it. And I think it's the factor of you put on good matches, people respect that. That's still a thing out there. Which, hey,
absolutely. So gripe from Jamie. Jon Moxley won. So Jon Moxley now has 9 points.
Okay.
Roosh only has 3 points. You know, when they announced this tournament, one, I was not too thrilled about it, as I've gone on record multiple times. And I'm going to go on record one more time. Because this was the perfect match to end in a draw if I ever saw one. This was the one. This was the perfect draw.
Yep.
Because the way this one was going, they could have easily done it like Roosh passes out as time expires, something like that. So then they find a way to still make Moxley look strong and still, Roosh made it. He was able to get a semi upset, and it gives you more storytelling. I felt like they missed it on this one.
Yeah, I had the exact same thought. I thought this should have been a draw just because of how over Roosh is. It's a great way to keep building up Roosh in a tournament he is certainly not going to win, and to keep the crowd support behind him. Not that he's going to lose fans. He's not going to get any less over. Yeah. But this was a good moment to build someone up a little bit. Mox is kind of like your big time guy. You expect him to beat just about everybody, and you can have Roosh, and especially because there are time limits in this, strict 20-minute time limits, it's a great opportunity to show like, oh, if you're not on to Roosh yet, you better be, because he just took Mox 20 full minutes. And it gets you more excited to see more of Roosh later. Seems like they're building towards a Mox and Swerve. Well, I know they're building up
which
to
is
that.
Obvious, and that was the obvious thing from the beginning of the brackets being announced, or the
But I think they did miss an opportunity to give Roosh a little bit more of a rub, and I don't think having this end in a draw would take it away from Mox and Swerve at all.
And I think. Nope. To kind of like compound on that a little bit, because as we look later on in the night, we're going to talk about some other matches, You still got plenty of matches left you got 3 more matches still for each of these competitors. after tonight, you have 2 matches for each of them. But coming in tonight, you had 3 matches still, so you're not even you're 2/5 of the way through it, and it feels like you're setting up. You're dictating your end a little too. You're playing your hand a little too soon, right? Yeah, we expect it to be those 2, and if it is those 2, it's not going to shock anybody. And cool, but you can get there in a different way. You've got math you can play with here. You could do some things. Add in a tie here. Add in a random upset here, which helps him out. You could have some of that stuff going on, and it feels like, well, I can't disagree with the fact of who's winning is winning. I would like to see more drama built into it by adding some unexpectedness, It's kind of what they're doing in Collision. They got, because Brody King's in the lead of that over there. That's great, right? You didn't see that coming, did you? Brody King on top?
No.
Yeah, the one thing I will say is I could see if they are planning on making this a yearly thing and bringing it back, I could see them doing the first one because it's going to have the nostalgia of being the first, or like the hype of being the first one.
Sure.
I could see them playing that a little bit more. Kind of you go to the March Madness, the NCAA tournament, you have a year where the 1 seeds kind of just go all the way to the finals.
The alt shock year of the
It's got to happen sometimes, and I don't mind them doing it first if that saves it for like, hey, next year we can start playing with some more stuff. But I also I want upsets in this one too, just because it'd be rad. So
everyone loves an upset from a guy whose basketball team is basically the one who does the upsetting. If we get a victory, yes, everybody loves an upset.
And with the draws being built into it, I feel like we should see one soon. And it's kind of interesting we haven't seen one already.
Yeah, we're going to see one. We're going to see at least one.
I would like to see a couple, especially you're getting some of these matches in these pools that are one-offs and you don't know when they're coming back to it again, but you go to a draw 6-8 weeks down the line, you need to start building a revolution. You easily got a story to come back to, like, hey, we didn't settle it. And then when you're going to throw a random match that's just for really good wrestling on a pay-per-view, you've got that little bit of story to at least build that a little bit.
Yep. Jamie, I got low-hanging fruit for you.
Mm-hmm.
Eddie Claudio draw this Saturday.
No, not happening.
I think so. I think that's going to be
Eddie's going to win. Eddie's going to win clean.
I think it's going to be a draw.
Eddie's going to win clean.
I think Eddie Kingston should lose, and I think Eddie Kingston should lose the entire pool. I don't know if y'all have been seeing the promos he's been cutting after these matches, before and after, but I think there is a really good story in there of Eddie just getting swept, and what does it do to Eddie Kingston? Like, how does he react to that?
Break Eddie Kingston, or breaking Eddie.
Yeah, not that I ever want to see Eddie Kingston lose. I just think there is some real good story in there of how he handles to that just utter disappointment of putting his titles on the line and losing to everybody.
Sure. I hear you. It's like Sacre Bleu. I'm here all night, guys. Let's go.
All right. So after this, we had Renee Paquette welcoming Roderick Strong in the Kingdom. And ladies and gentlemen, before we get into this, I really do want to take a moment and let's really, really get into the fact that it's Christmas season, right? It's the time of miracles. And we all got to see a Christmas miracle this Wednesday. Roderick Strong, ladies and gentlemen, no longer needs his wheelchair. When we thought he was going to be in it forever, no longer needs it. Threw it away. Miracle.
Still has the neck brace.
Of course, you can't. You just don't throw one of those away.
I was pleasantly surprised to see how much heat they were getting, which is great for them. So, yeah.
Yeah, I texted my wife during this segment, who was out of town on work related things, and told her I hate Roderick Strong for making me hate Roderick Strong less by being this entertaining. Uh, he's really really found his stride with this character. That promo he cut, the "This is my life now, Renee." It's it's almost in the vein of that like Will Ferrell style comedy that hasn't really been big
Yeah.
in quite some time, but Roddy's kind of lame inherently, so it kind of works for him. And it's the best work, the most entertained I've ever been by Roderick Strong.
I
is
mean,
the
it's
stuff he's doing
it's the
right
most
now.
entertaining he's ever been. You know, he's always been the really good wrestler,
Yeah.
right?
In the ring,
Roderick
he's been
Strong
great.
in the ring is amazing. But, you know, he's yelling everybody's name. He yelled Renee's name in her face. He yelled Joe's name when he was talking about him. I think it's 1,000% the mustache.
I can see it.
Roddy's
It
got
does.
a
It does
solid
something to
stash
people,
going
man.
on now.
It does something to people. Although I gotta say, as I said at the beginning of the show, our wiener dog had dental surgery. He's got one of those like pillow collars on, not the big one, so it looks like a neck brace. And every time I see that little guy walking through the house, I start thinking, Adam, Adam.
You should get one of those collars that has like I'm sure they have a collar where they have like a the little speaker on it there where you can put a message, you know, and you just record that, and then as he walks around, just randomly up to Heidi, just go Anna.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
I gotta see if I can rig that up.
Yes, and rig a camera up because I want to see it when she spits her coffee all over the place because you know that would happen the first time.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
So the first one tonight to bring up the thought again that he's been saying all along, MJF is the devil.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a seed that's been planted for a while. And for tonight's episode, he was the first to bring that up. Penn, we'll come back.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Well, you're getting right into it because it's literally right after. It's right after. So go for it. Unpin it. Go
so we
for it.
Unpin
JJ.
it there. I forgot it was right after. So this was. I'm not gonna. Okay. I have two main thoughts here. One of them is a question I'm gonna say for both of you here in a few minutes. Okay, but this is the part of the night that I wasn't expecting that I was gonna need to have so much that I loved. So Renee's now outside MJF's door, going to ask him about the you know the Devil's Rejects and you know the match with Joe and all whatever, right? And here comes Adam Hangman Page walking by, who we haven't seen since the pay-per-view. Still in his like all black cowboy get up, right? So he's doing the dark cowboy thing to your point, Austin, right? You know, you go with all that and says, you know, he's been out for a little bit, and then he delivers for Adam Page a superb, but for anybody else a really good kind of, you know, ongoing promo towards Swerve. So he talks about it. He says that, you know, it took Nana and Brian Cage and all this, but you won. And I'm mad enough to say that you beat me. Kudos to you, right? Bravo, you know. But, and this is the Hangman that I like to see here. This is kind of what I want to get to in a minute. But he says that I want to recognize that while I did lose, that you and I, talking about Swerve and him, are not over by any stretch. And he will never let him get, meaning Hangman will never let Swerve get the thing he wants the most, which is the AEW title, interstage rights, MJF at this moment. And Jamie, this is where this promo went from good to great real fast.
Oh, I mean, absolutely. You know, MJF, you know, he instantly comes in and just straight just dogs on Hanger. Like instantly talks about beating him for the Dynamite Diamond ring.
The first Dynamite ring.
The first. You know, he notes that his world title reign was over a year, and his was what, 6 months? Right? Yeah, it was a good run, bud. You know, just got after him. Oh, I love MJF. I love this because it plants beautiful seeds.
Also, what did you think of the Hangman insertion in tonight's episode and the kind of like retort with MJF?
So this was the part of the episode that started getting me thinking. This reminds me of the Attitude Era, where the world is revolving around your champion. Now, the fact that MJF isn't like really a babyface or a heel, I know that was exactly the Attitude Era. I kind of wish he was one way or the other these days, but it is what it is at this point. It's kind of go back to what I was saying about just the flow of the show, like the non-Continental Classic stuff outside of like the women's division is all kind of revolving around MJF and the champion. And the devil stuff, it's picking up some steam again after it kind of got a little stale for a few weeks after Full Gear. It's one of those things that makes me want to tune in next week and see where they're going with this. And that's the best thing you can do on your weekly TV show.
Because, you know, one of the things Hangman says, that he says the most likely thing is that you are the devil, right? You're pulling all this stuff here, this and that. But the overall, and of course Joe comes and gets in the middle, you know, this is mine, I got this, whatever, right? You know, which is, you know, the part that I like about this the most is we had a couple questions about post Full Gear with Hangman and Swerve. I think the general consensus amongst the three of us was that either one can win or lose, and it's not going to be really damaging to either, right? You know, who can afford the loss more? Well, I was misspoken before Full Gear. That he's lost both of them to Swerve, and I think at the end of the day, Hangman is in just as good a position on the roster as he was before this all began. For what it's worth, I feel for the first time since Drunken Cowboy, they actually have a good angle with him and know what they're doing with Adam Hangman Page. And that is doing what on paper says you should be doing, which is put him on the top of the card, right? And he's backing it up. He's got this cowboy with an edge stick now, right? This kind of like, you know, millennial offshoot of, you know, Stone Cold and whatever else. And that was my big takeaway. I want to know what your guys' thoughts are about Hangman and his spot, not only in the MJF storyline, but his spot inside the roster now. Because I left tonight's episode feeling like Hangman is that top star we've always wanted him to be, after all. That's what I thought.
Yeah, it definitely seems like since the Swerve feud started, they are repositioning Hangman as a top guy, which he should be. He's kind of one of your younger guys. He doesn't really get put in with the pillars, but he's someone that could be with your company for a long time. He's also one of the few actual baby faces you have. That seems like a legitimate baby face. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of, I do enjoy that Hangman sometimes seems like the only rational person outside of maybe Renee Paquette in this entire company, where he's just trying to come to work and do his job, go home to his wife and kid, and he just keeps getting caught up in all this bullshit. But it's interesting. It makes you into Hangman. So yeah, I like him getting inserted with the world champion, even though there's nothing concrete set up. Hopefully it's starting some longer term storytelling, which they've been doing good for a little while, is just keep weaving these little threads.
Couldn't agree more. I really agree with the fact that Page is one of their top guys now. Mm-hmm. And it comes at a perfect time, honestly. You think about it. Because, I mean,
perfect.
Where's Don Callis and everybody?
They're on Rampage.
Where's Kenny?
He's taking a little time away.
Yeah, like you need a big baby face right now to be out there, and he's the perfect runner now. And he did have, no pun intended, a Dynamite promo right here that really just solidified himself as arguably the top baby face in the company. I mean, because you have tweener MJF who could or could not be the devil. You know, I'm still thinking not, because there's also some more information that I have that I'm getting ready to give you guys.
Okay.
But he's better. He's a better heel. We all know this. You know, so who's your other big top babyface? Kenny Omega right now, but he's busy. It's got to be Hanger, and yeah, dude.
And to Austin's point too, Jamie. I mean, this felt like a WWE in the late '90s thing. It felt like an Attitude Era thing. Having him in there, and he was on show for 3 minutes, 3.5 minutes in total, something like that, right? But it was a cornerstone of the show. It felt like, you know, it's very much an Austin sort of esque, or a Rock passing through the backstage sort of, you know, moment, right?
The Undertaker in the Ministry messing with McMahon and all them, and here comes Stone Cold out of nowhere, and next thing you know, I want this match again. You know, like, let's make this happen.
Out of so anyway,
not calling out 1997 March. It's probably March of 97.
Well, I just wanted to say, to whoever decided to give us this kind of turn, if it was Hanger, if it was TK, if it's anybody else there, I feel like more people than TK are involved in making these decisions now. This can't be just a one-man show. Like, you know,
it can't be.
It can't be. So, merci beaucoup to whoever is out there putting this stuff in.
Yes. Jesus. All right. So now we have our second match of the Coastal Carolina Continental Classic Breakfast.
You just like saying Coastal Carolina. I'm pretty sure you just like the mullets. Maybe it's Myrtle Beach. I don't know.
Yeah. So this one, excellent match. That's all I gotta say about this one. This was by far, in a way, an amazing match. Like, Swerve's on another level than everybody in the world. That's all there is to it. But Mark Briscoe, hands down, Mark Briscoe can wrestle. Mark Briscoe's absolutely great. But Mark Briscoe, in this scenario of this damn tournament, and this is my problem, is the jobber of the tournament. And here's the thing. The reason why Jamie loves the G1 Classic, ladies and gentlemen, is because they're surprises. There are people you never think are going to win it. Next thing you know, you got Show winning it before he became the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. Like 2 years before he got that belt. No one expected him to beat Okada, Shingo Takagi, and Ospreay. Oh, no. No. But he won the whole damn thing. But here we go. Somebody who's already fucking mathematically eliminated. Yes, first F-bomb of the night, ladies and gentlemen, because this has pissed me off so bad. This tournament has pissed me off so goddamn much. Other than the fact it's given me great wrestling to watch. Like, if it wasn't that redeeming quality, I'd be so pissed, like super pissed. But Mark Briscoe deserves better than being mathematically eliminated. If he was going to be the jobber of this thing, don't use him. Use somebody else.
I mean, he's not going to win the whole thing.
But still, you never know.
Win somewhere.
Yeah.
I am going to hard disagree with you on that. I don't think anybody was expecting Mark Briscoe to win any of these matches, except for probably beating Jay Lethal would be something you would think was possible. I think this is more of even though he's not going to win a whole lot, the entire world that tunes into Dynamite on Wednesdays gets to see how good Mark Briscoe is, because he's in there with some of the best wrestlers in the world. So it's one of those things where if he wasn't in this tournament, is he going to be on TV this much? Probably not, but we get a good month or so of awesome Mark Briscoe matches, and I'm just not going to be sad about that.
Yeah. But still. No one ever goes over in the climax, G1 climax. Nobody. And there's a good chance we're gonna have like 4 people going
This
over.
is not the G1 climax, Jamie.
Sorry. 2 people will go over, but there's a good chance that, like, come on, man, at least give me some draws. Give him a draw. Just give him a draw somewhere. He could have had the very first one to put everybody on notice. And then you had Moxley winning. Or better yet, you have Moxley get a draw tonight. You had Swerve lose because of Hanger's music playing. No one showed up, but he got distracted. Get the roll up. He loses. Surprise win right there. So it's not clean, right? Then you have somebody who's at 6 points. You have somebody who's at 7 points. What's the difference between 9 and 9? Nothing. 6 and 7's great. Great storytelling right there. And they fucked it up.
So I'm glad they didn't have any musical cues, musical cue distractions. Leave that in the Fed where it belongs, please.
We kind of had one earlier.
Oh, we found an Austin trigger. Oh my God! All right.
I think a draw with Briscoe and Mox would have made a lot of sense. Like, Mark Briscoe should be the guy that could fight Mox forever. They're very close to the same guy. Different wrestling styles, but kind of the same guy. It would have been cool to see something where you make it work out. If you are building to Mox and Swerve or your 2 big dogs, Mox gets a surprise draw. So by the time you get to the last week, where, of course, it's not going to be the actual last one, but you put Mox and Swerve last, where Mox has a draw, but Swerve's 1 out, and now Mox has to beat Swerve. He can't draw him to advance, something like that. Now you're telling a pretty cool story. But yeah, I'd like to see better for Mark Briscoe, but I'm just happy that he's getting to have these matches, because I think a lot of people don't know how good Mark Briscoe is.
And I think that he's, the crowd is very, very evident, whether they are super familiar with him or they were very into this match and very into Briscoe. I mean, Montreal crowds are good. It's weird. French Canadian crowds are either fantastic or really nose in the air at you, depending on what you're booking that night. They were really into this. Again, my argument at the result of this match is the same argument that I had at the beginning. You could be using math. Use some math. You could make some interesting stuff. To your point, you have a draw on one, you have another one in another. You add different type of, instead of just we're the top 2 guys, winner takes it all, right? You've got math involved now. Scenarios can happen and different things. Whatever. I enjoyed this match thoroughly, though.
The match was amazing.
I would like to see, once you get to World's End, you're going to have your finals with the guy that made it out of each league. Take the other 8 guys left over and put them in one of those big Sonic ring over the hanging ladder match gimmicks. And you could just keep something going. Line up another guy for something else. Give the winner a shot at the TNT title or something. It doesn't matter.
Orange
but
Cassidy.
Or just do a sweet 4 versus 4 with everyone that got eliminated. Your Gold League versus Blue League, just to throw a cool match on a pay-per-view.
and like a Survivor match, like an elimination match, Survivor Series.
Oh, if they didn't, that'd be amazing.
And because of the leagues now, Claudio and Eddie are on the same team. You get almost like a Lethal Lottery style tag match out of this, which is all I really want in pro wrestling at all times.
At all times.
That's the common denominator here, folks. That's what we're trying to get at.
All right. So the future of the current women's division, Mariah May, said that she has secured her in-ring AEW debut, but is none of Renee's business of who it is, which I love that little twitch there. She's all bubbly. And it's none of your business. She is full on Mickey James in it. So hard. And I'm
pretty obvious, but we're happy with that.
So who's her first match, guys?
It's Toni Storm.
No.
Absolutely.
I would I would say if I had to take an educated guess after what happened tonight, I could see her wrestling Riho in the very near future. Seemed like they did a good job of potentially setting that up. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think they'll jump right into her and Toni Storm. Just because I think there's a fun story to tell to get there. But I also wouldn't be sad if they started the story with she's using her first match to wrestle Toni. Although in the realm of the psychology of your show, why did this broad just walk through the door and she already gets a shot at the title?
Yeah.
Not the first time it's happened in the women's division.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not the first time.
But there's something that happened, and very specifically something called out after the women's match that I'll make mention of here when we get to that match, which is why I say it's Toni Storm.
So I believe in my heart of hearts that she has to go up against somebody that she'll look strong against, who can take a loss, who might be known as a lovable loser, just can't seem to win. Yes, that's right. Ruby Soho.
Hey, Ruby.
I knew where you were going as soon as you started saying
that. And this is Jamie just being the troll here, you know.
Me? Troll? Come on.
You're up in the middle. You're up in the middle of an isolated tower, throwing rocks at me. You know, just telling me my father smelt of elderberries. You know.
But to Jamie's credit,
there, y'all.
If Mariah May, if they are going to tease it for a while where she's aligned with Toni Storm, it would kind of make sense for her to go after Ruby, since Ruby tried to keep Toni from beating Saraya.
On paper, it does. I don't believe the storyline of she's actually aligned with Toni Storm. I 1,000% think that she's coming in here, she's using this to try and get the title shot.
Oh yeah, but she's going to pretend to be aligned with her for a little while,
right,
and then turn on her.
All right,
because they got weeks of TV to fill.
I'm going to put it. We haven't talked about the women's match yet, and we're going to get to that in a second. But I will say this: after the women's match, there was a big debut, and it was made mention of because Luther was out there and Mariah was out there for the whole match. It was even brought up that Mariah May was nowhere to be found at all when Rio came out. Skye even said it on live TV. Why does she suddenly disappear when there's some adversity for the champion?
Because Mariah May knows that Riho is the devil.
Riho versus Miro.
Hey, no, Riho carries that lead pipe around.
Yeah.
Honestly, it would make no sense and piss a lot of people off, but I would personally be entertained if Riho was the devil.
That'd be great.
Goodness, that'd be the
greatest. I'm telling you, every fiber in my being of watching wrestling for the past 30 whatever years is telling me that's because either this is along her lines of her plan and all this stuff. This is all plot, you know. She's trying to find a way to get to the softest point to get at Toni. I'm telling you.
That's why you got to be with her for a while, win a couple matches, and then stab her right in the back. Come on, man.
I think she's going to start with the stab. I think she's going to start with the stab, and they're going to put her right on top.
I don't like that for her.
I don't like that for anybody. They don't give enough time for them to do anything else on fucking TV, for God's sake. Austin's already proud about it. This is what the women's division is.
Dude, you're just mad that I brought up Ruby Soho. It's fine.
But while they don't get a lot of time on TV, you can take the little time they do have to tell a multi-week story that lasts a little bit longer with Toni Mariah, especially because you don't really have anyone set up to be the next challenger. So I wouldn't mind Toni with a little bit of a run, just beating whoever they pulled off the women's bench this week to throw out there while they develop this story with her, Mariah. They could do it at World's End, and they probably will, but I would like to see that be a Dynamite title match kind of when you get into that 8-week build to Revolution, because I think Revolution is a little bit too long for it, but give us something that lasts a little bit longer. Because Toni Storm is by far the most entertaining part of the women's division right now. And I think Mariah May can hold her half of that in a longer story.
Put a pin in that, Heather. We're going to get to that in a second.
So right after this, let's just go to do this real quick because it takes like 5 seconds. Samoa Joe and MJF were supposed to go against the Devil Mask Men, which I really wish they would come out to White Zombie right there. Devil Man. That has been perfect. But anyway, Samoa Joe gets the ring. The lights start to flicker. Next thing you know, he's surrounded by devils. And they were getting ready to attack him. The lights go out. Next thing you know, they're gone. And then on the screen is MJF out cold by a beer bottle. Storytelling. Is it Hanger because he drinks beer, guys?
Is it MJF trying to make it look like it's Hanger and just lying there not knocked out?
Or is it a third party who watches the show and realize that not to dunk on the Fed again, but one of my least favorite tropes of all time is nobody backstage seems to ever watch the show and pay attention to what's going on.
Or if they watch it like this.
Yeah. So it also could have been the backstage Kyle O'Reilly. He's been at recent shows, ladies and gentlemen.
Gee, I feel like somebody might have thrown that out there that Kyle O'Reilly could potentially be the one who's unmasked as the devil.
Oh no, he won't be the devil. It's gonna be Adam Cole. He's gonna be a part of. He's gonna be one of the goons for sure.
He's a part of it, but I'm
With
telling
Wardlow.
you, man, you do it because that way you do it. You unmask it. He turns around to a super kick from Adam Cole, who's standing beside him and initially looking shocked. Right? That's how you do the reveal. He's not actually the devil, but he's unmasked as the devil, just to get an extra layer of dig in at MJF before Adam Cole fully stabs him in the back.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I'm not going to lie, I kind of like this idea about it's MJF all along. Do you guys think there's any legs to that? I do.
I don't think so. I think you could do that, but there's such a margin of error for it not making sense and being kind of dumb when you look at the whole angle. You're running into Vince McMahon, it was me, Austin, it was me all along territory.
Yeah.
If you don't thread that needle just right. Could be done, but I think with everything we've seen so far, like, to what end would MJF be doing this? It doesn't seem like him being the devil and all these things really benefits him. Adam Cole makes the most sense. I do like them throwing Hanger out there as a possibility just to work him into the storyline a bit. I would like to see Hangman show up next week and just say, hey guys, I hit MJF with the beer bottle. I'm not the devil. He's just an asshole. And they just threw you for a loop for a week there. But my one problem with this whole segment and the premise is not 25 minutes before this, we saw Samoa Joe show up to protect MJF from getting talked at loudly by Hangman. Yet he turned his back long enough for MJF to get blasted with a beer bottle backstage. Why would you not be dragging him by the Burberry scarf out to the ring to make sure the group of devil guys that seem to beat people up backstage don't do exactly that?
Austin, I once again, I hate to keep coming back to this. I need you to take your logic and not bring it into this.
Maybe put it in a stash somewhere. The stash of logic.
Oh, I like that. Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. God damn it, I'm here to protect you. Now I'm going to go to my separate dress room and get ready for our match. I'll meet you out there in 10 minutes.
And again, it's not something that kills the segment. Like, the story's still just fine. But it was so immediate after the backstage promo where he jumped in. It's like, dude, where were you? Why did you let him out of your sight? You clearly were watching him in the hallway. Why didn't you just walk the extra 15 feet to the ring with him?
I mean, again, logic.
The only really thought process I had on that is that, A, we don't know when Adam Cole is going to be back. You can't do the devil reveal if it is Adam Cole and his posse without Adam Cole. Okay. To Jamie's point, Kyle O'Reilly and Roddy alone, while I'm happy to see them, and see them aligned together again, it's not the same as if you don't have Adam Cole, right? So, A, it buys you more time to figure out until you get Adam Cole in there. B, this is a fleeting thought that kind of, I don't think this is what's going to happen. I don't think this is a legitimate, idea, although it's been in my head more since the show. Hear me out. MJF's been the devil the whole time, okay? We all are in agreement MJF is re-signed with AEW, okay? Technically, though, kayfabe-wise, his contract is up at the end of the year, right? Bidding war of 2024. MJF is a face, and this whole thing with Adam Cole was a big ruse to keep everybody distracted so that he could, storyline-wise, walk out with the title to gobs of money. That's why he reveals himself as the devil and turns super heel back again. Now, again, I don't think that's likely. I don't think that's the end result. But I think I think there's at least a storyline option. It's a very fine needle to thread. You're not wrong. But there's a storyline option to have there. And they've been pretty good at writing better at writing longer term storylines. And maybe he is the devil at the end of all this. Maybe that won't be till Revolution we find out, right? But I don't want to dismiss it as not. It was brought up 3 times tonight, so at least being put out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still think MJF as the devil is just not as satisfying as a payoff as having that reveal give him a new opponent. Even if it's not like new that in the sense he hasn't worked for, but give him a direction going forward from that reveal. Whereas if he ends up being the devil, okay, he could have had his reasons and all that, but that doesn't make you any more interested in seeing any specific person beat MJF.
Right. Where are you going with it now? Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, they could do it, but I just think there's better options out there. I think this is a very low, almost zero possibility, but I wouldn't mind if the devil himself or the guy in the mask is still just a minion and it's Samoa Joe organizing all of this. We got that promo a couple months ago where Joe was there in the suit with the whiskey and the cigar looking like a mob boss.
Oh, yeah.
What if the devil works for Samoa Joe? That's an interesting way to go from that. But the fact that there's multiple options that aren't terrible means this is a solid story, even if every step of the way hasn't been the best.
Yeah.
Good points.
The road is rocky to get you there.
Yes. But it's the journey, right? Like you could write 3 books about somebody walking to a volcano. Just saying.
We actually rewatched all 3 of those recently.
As long as at the end of the day, you pass through the Arc de Triomphe victorious, it's all good.
Or you just ride the goddamn Eagles, but whatever. I digress. All right, so let's go on to the singular women's match of the night. It was timeless Toni Storm going against the Katie Forbes gone goth, Skye Blue. That's a nice deep cut for you because I have things to say about her attire. If you know who Katie Forbes is, you know where I'm going with this. But one of the cool things I thought I really enjoyed was Toni Storm getting introduced by the Turner Classic Movies guy, Ben Mankiewicz.
Mankiewicz on a wrestling show. They mentioned him earlier in the night, and I go, did I hear Ben Mankiewicz? I was making my Euros, and I go, did I just hear them say Ben Mankiewicz? And he was
sure did.
On the fucking
Yeah, they announced it on Twitter like yesterday, and it blew my mind for a minute. I was like, they really got Ben Mankiewicz showing up for AEW? That's awesome.
So this match, ladies and gentlemen, was actually a really good match. Like, Toni's
Skye
amazing.
Blue's better matches.
Again, she's getting better. And when you have somebody that is a worker like Toni, I think that also pays a lot of dividends there. The only thing I had a huge problem with.
Okay.
And I hate to say this sounds so petty, but was it just me, or did it seem like Skye Blue was wrestling in a thong the whole time?
There was a lot of booty in this match.
Has she not heard of tape or longer shorts, man? Like,
that's her every week, dude.
Well, like, she had a moment where it wasn't that bad, but like, I know I'm not Billy Gunn. I am not necessarily an ass man like he is, but good God. Like, I appreciate a nice butt as much as anybody else, but I enjoy wrestling. I hate to sound like a prude right now, but I am totally coming across like a prude. But it's like, I appreciate it. Wear some long pants or something. Like, allow a little mystery.
Or you're 23 and you know what your assets are and you know how to display them.
See? Heather's right there. There was a lot of cheekage.
Yeah.
Like,
she probably figured it was easier than developing a personality.
I mean, if that's gonna be a personality, then she's Katie Forbes.
Again, she's 23 and she knows what the people want to see, and she's got to show it, so she shows it.
Yeah.
It's not hard science, guys.
The match was fine. I did love Toni Storm and Luther's spot where they threw Skye off the apron with their little tandem gimmick. That was phenomenal. But this match, so like, of course, Toni Storm wins, and then you bring Riho out and all that. This match just seemed like a very underwhelming blow-off for us watching the last like 6 weeks of Skye Blue on AEW TV.
Thank you.
They've been featuring her a bit. Which again, I don't think she's quite ready for that spot, but that's not my call, and nothing against her as a performer. But if you're gonna put her in that spot, it's kind of weird that she lost the triple threat at the pay-per-view, and then she loses to Toni Storm without a lot of like fanfare and extra gaga afterwards. Like, what was kind of the point of? Was it just to feed her to Toni here? And also, you've done such a weird job of the teasing the Julia Hart thing where she went a little goth and was kind of bad, but is still kind of a face, that no one in the crowd really seemed to give a shit about her winning the match. They were full on behind Toni. And I think if you were going to build her over this time, like, just make her a babyface if you're going to have her have this big match with Toni, and make it simpler, I guess is the best way to put it.
So this is, and the match itself I did like. I thought it was one of Skye's better matches she's had here. To answer your question, Heather, yes, her boyfriend is Kyle Fletcher.
And my daughter thinks he's got a big old booty or a nice butt.
A real nice derriere.
A gyat.
A gyat.
So dumb. Dude.
Sorry.
Don't have kids, man. Like,
I'm
you
good
learn
on
these
that
new
front.
words.
That's
no cap.
I have long, like I think we talked about this a few weeks ago. Like, my frustration, your frustration with Skye Blue is that her gimmick is a color, right? You know, my frustration is that they finally started to do something with her that, let's see where it goes. And they never really finished flushing it out. And maybe they haven't. Maybe this is part of the long-term plan that this is going to make her turn to Julia as a way to atone for her failures. I don't know. That's way more in depth than I'm giving them credit for, I'm sure. But they had a good plan to at least try it, right? Try the women's side of the, House of Black, have her fully turn. She almost did it at one point, and she still got that in her persona. Our friend Heather in chat has said that, that it's it's like a girl going through her goth phase trying to get a personality, right? And while I appreciate you're trying to do something different with their gimmick, right? There's no foresight. Nobody thought that Skye Blue was going to win tonight. Okay?
Not at all.
And what do you do with her now? Because she's obviously not in this story anymore. The fact that she was in this match, in this story, is they had a match booked for her, and she interrupted Toni at the beginning of it. So if that had been Ruby that interrupted her at the beginning of it, would it have been Ruby tonight? Hey, Ruby, so it's like that. It's to your point. They have some stuff that they get going, but they don't have enough time developed to really give you any sort of stuff. If there was a second match that involved maybe the TBS picture, maybe we could tie this together. Maybe there's a different line item they thought. Maybe they're just doing the Jade Cargill thing where somebody gets a quick little push just to get them on TV, and then it's back to the B leagues. Who knows? But I do know if you like butts, this was the match for you.
Yeah, there was a lot of ass in this match. Really, really quick while we're on the women's division, speaking of people getting a little run on TV, we got a collision match on Saturday and an upcoming Rampage match from Abaddon, which I'm excited to see.
I know.
Good to see Abaddon back on TV with some regularity. And Friday night it's Abaddon and Trish Adora, which is
fantastic,
phenomenal if you are not familiar with her work.
Trish is she began a good amount of ROH appearances lately as well too. If you follow ROH TV, so
yeah, she's a part of the infantry.
Yeah, the infantry, best T-shirt 2023. Sorry, putting it out there.
Yep, 100%. No, and looks like Julia Hart's turned her attention to Abaddon, which I think that would be an excellent addition to the House of Black Ladies Edition.
That segment where Julia Hart appeared just like hit me right here, because the aforementioned year of TV I produced was Abaddon's first year in wrestling. And the most fun parts of it was just ripping off shit The Undertaker used to do and having Abaddon pop up places and scare people and stuff like that. So I am all on board for like spooky lady battle coming up with Abaddon and Julia Hart.
That's cool.
Me too. Can't wait for that.
Yeah.
All right, so we got 2 matches left, gentlemen. So we have the last of the Coastal Classic or Continental Classic of Jay White versus Jay Lethal. I'm pretty confident Jay was going to win.
Yes, this was if you liked butts, the last match was for you. If you liked Jay's, this match is for you for sure.
And abs.
There was a lot of abs in this match.
There was a lot of abs.
39 and a half on one person. I always say Jay White's got 39 and a half abs.
Now I feel like that number keeps growing. I thought I started off like 36 and a half. I feel like you keep adding abs.
Always
to
been 39 and a half.
Is it? Heather, is that correct? Has he always said 39 and a half? I feel like he's adding abs to Jay White's persona. You're like the guy in the basement typing on the Wikipedia.
Throw the replay flag.
Yeah.
I don't want to go back and watch
39 and a half.
39 and a half abs.
So this match was a little bit shorter than the other ones. Probably because they were running a little short on time because they had to have that main event in there. Mm-hmm. It was solid. I mean, it's Jay White and Jay Lethal. Like you're not going to have a good match.
Keep growing in number. Gotcha.
Not true. Erroneous on all counts.
See, Jamie, where you messed up though is you should have said yes. It keeps growing. I add an ab every time I retain my pay-per-view pick belt.
All right. Let's get to the match, guys. Where I thought you were I thought we were a combined effort against the Faulkner World Order. What is this?
I never miss a chance to pitch a good promo idea. I'm always thinking like a worker.
Absolutely.
Touche. Touche, my good man. Touche.
All right. Well, this match ended up and Jay White got the dub. So Jay White is got what, 6?
He is.
Yeah, because he beat Rouge.
Points.
Yeah, he beat Rouge. He lost to Swerve. Yep. So he's got 6. 6. Solid match. I got nothing.
Of the 3, this was probably because it was the shortest. It was the quickest. I think they're doing an angle. They're not just making him the GOAT or, the loser here, for Jay Lethal. They're doing an angle of him breaking off of Sanjay Dutt and Co. Maybe. I feel like that's what they're doing. So it was fine. It was good. I feel like, if this is Star of the Night, you would have got a better match. It's just I think it was a victim of its place on the card.
Yeah, this match was in the slot where you would normally get like the Hardys and Brother Zay in a random trios match.
Yeah.
And they did the best they could with the time they had. It was a very good match. Yeah. I did like the promo from Jay White talking about his history with Jay Lethal and Ring of Honor. Cool. Love touching on that. Added a little bit to what we're about to see, but you knew there was no way Jay Lethal was winning this match.
No.
With Jay Lethal and Mark Briscoe, I know this will not happen because Mark Briscoe's gone on record saying he's not tagging anymore, which is understandable since his brother passed away.
Right.
But if that wasn't the case, I would love to see them spin this into Briscoe and Lethal losing to everybody and drawing each other, and then deciding to become a tag team and go after the tag team titles. Because Mark Briscoe and Jay Lethal would be a phenomenal tag team.
It would.
Not going to happen for understandable reasons, but that would be rad.
I love the thought because I had the same about them drawing together.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'd want some of that. All right. So now it's main event time. And it was good.
Yeah. Adam Copeland versus Christian Cage.
2 Canadians going at it in Canada. Christian Cage, Adam Copeland. And I will have to say that those two guys, I think it's the first time I've ever seen them wrestle against each other. And it was more storytelling between them than the moves. You know what I mean? Like, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
Like, the moves are great, don't get me wrong. But, like, the storytelling between these two guys, the crowd heavily behind Adam Copeland and not our father. But it's okay. They're Canadians. They don't know better.
Well, they're from Ontario. So they're in Quebec. They're from Ontario. So it's a little different world up there.
Yeah, but everybody needs to be behind our father. No, so the big thing about this, which I absolutely loved,
yes,
Shayna Wayne came out because poor Bryce Remsburg got hurt, and she grabbed the belt and hit Adam Copeland with it. And then after that, a seemingly legit looking curb stop from Christian on Adam Copeland's neck when his head was on the belt. And he was able to retain. Our father is still the TNT champion.
There was a kill switch in there too.
There was a couple great ones, like the spear in the corner where Edge caught him and they did the execution. Like, oh my goodness, that was so.
There was a double spear, which was reminiscent
that was
of
timed perfectly. That was an awesome spot.
That was a very good spot, and it was very reminiscent of a certain match that these two were both in way back in the day. And it was made mention this in their first time they fought each other. So 13 years ago they fought. I never remember them having a one-on-one match, but it doesn't surprise me if they did. Especially
they did the Fed. And it was
when he was the Red Heart Superstar, right?
I think when they it might have even been a little bit before that, but when they did it in the Fed, Christian was not positioned as any kind of a top guy, and Christian also had not peaked yet.
It's pre TNA Christian, right?
Yeah, it was pre TNA Christian. And I don't even remember the match specifically. I just remember that it happened, and it was once you're not really bought into it. I really like that this match. Kind of like what Jamie was saying, it wasn't as much about the moves. This match looked as believable as pro wrestling can get to portray a fight between two people that have known each other for 4 decades. Like, I got that from the match, which, again, like I was saying earlier, the perfect amount of balance to the flow. We got Jay White and Jay Lethal, which it had some stakes for being in the tournament, but was just good wrestling for the sake of good wrestling. And then we got the story at the end of the night. We got the sports entertainment side of things, and it was all good. Like, it all works together when you do it right.
So Shayna Wayne text Adam because she's siding with Christian. That's where her son is. Or because Adam Copeland gave 2 concertos to her beloved boy, who damned who he's aligned with.
Mm-hmm. And they say he's got permanent brain damage from it. It's like the whole.
Oh, is that the kayfabe they're doing?
Yeah.
Nice.
I would imagine
a good way to take a very raw green young talent and kind of back him up a little bit so he gets some off time and training. I like.
Yeah, I assume it's going to have something to do with him getting domed with a chair by Edge and being brain damaged now.
Yeah.
I actually, while I enjoyed the match, I didn't like Nick Wayne's mom getting involved. Like, I would like us just being kind of done with Nick Wayne's mom. It was cool to, as a vehicle to get Nick Wayne into the patriarchy and kind of get him into the story. I would have much rather seen, as we discussed last week, a returning Jack Perry instead.
I would much rather Jack.
Whenever you can avoid it, I don't like sending people out there to get this involved in an angle that can't have a match about it later on.
Yeah, good point.
Wrestling people in the wrestling. I hear you.
I feel like this is now a recurring theme for the night, and I don't mean to keep going back to the Fed, but I would call it the Stephanie McMahon rule. Although Stephanie did have a few matches, but when they got into the Authority, it was a long line of Stephanie McMahon, like, basically getting no consequences for being the worst human being towards most of the roster. Because at that point, you couldn't go out there and have a match with her or put her through a table the next week because it wasn't the Attitude Era again. But yeah, I mean, story-wise, it made sense, but I would have liked to see them insert someone they can really use in that spot instead.
My fear is this. It's the only downside I have. I didn't mind it that much. I agree with you. Yeah, it would have been better to do something else. Somebody who can actually wrestle, right? Cool. But this is my fear. They've inserted a woman who is begrudgingly or whatever on the side of Christian. Adam is by himself, right? But there's a female who could back him up if need be. Maybe this is their way to get Beth Phoenix over here.
If that happens, I take back the last minute and a half of things I said, because I would be psyched for Beth Phoenix showing up.
That would be a good way to bring her in. And she doesn't have to be involved in the women's division directly. She's just there as part of the Adam Copeland story. But hey, you've got a Hall of Fame pro female wrestler who can probably help out your women's division, for God's sake, in more ways than just in the ring. Just saying.
Dude, yeah.
I would love to see Beth show up. I kind of wish this would have been also finished in a way that kind of settled Adam Copeland and Christian's business for now, and Christian still leaving with the title because not time to pull the plug on that.
Right.
I would have liked to see in this be like the feather in Christian's cap that runs him into the next thing, which they might still do, but this very much seemed like there is more to this story when I think we're at a good stopping point for their business for now. It's probably going to a gimmick match at World's End, I would imagine.
I think it goes to a gimmick match at World's End. Somehow they keep the belt on Christian, and then do what you said. Put a big old pin in it until All In. Who knows?
Yeah, just until you run out of other ideas. They're both doing great work right now, so let them do that with your younger talent and everyone else on your roster.
Yeah, but bringing Beth in the middle of this.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Even if it's not in this, just bring in Beth anyway.
Just bring in Beth. That's a win-win for everybody involved. Okay.
What they should have done is earlier in the night, backstage next to MJF, Skye Blue was also knocked out with a beer bottle, and then Beth Phoenix just shows up to wrestle Toni Storm because I would like to see that match.
Preach. In. Whew. That was a Dynamite, gentlemen. That was really...
Dynamite. I mean, I think to kind of back to our stash, or to Austin's stash of knowledge from earlier on the night, I really think that they found a good rhythm here, whether that's because of the Continental Classic. See, it's not that hard. Or what have you. I definitely feel like there's not just Toni wildly booking by himself anymore, right? There's some thought, there's some process with it. I think they found some good legs that they're working on, and they're putting together good shows. Because for the longest time, as always has been, AEW is going to give you really good wrestling and knockout pay-per-views, but watch out for those weekly shows because there ain't shit for story, Now, they've got some good stuff going. And the fact that we debated what 4 or 5 angles could potentially be just tells you how well their stories are being prepared, because who knows? The devil thing. We can go 5 different directions. We didn't even bring up that Swerve could be the devil or a couple others, right? So there's good stuff here. I thought tonight was fantastic.
I just love how that's not obvious.
I think you're right, Rob. Will Washington used to be on part of the Fightful team. He's involved in creative now too. So good call on that. So it shows.
Yeah, it seems like the last couple weeks with this tournament, Dynamite has largely seemed more like a flagship show. Like everything tonight had some degree of importance. And I'm sure plenty of people had things they didn't like here and there, but everything seemed like it had a purpose to further some kind of story. And if they keep doing that, it's only going to get better from here. And I like the idea of streamlining Dynamite a little bit, where outside of the women, keep working some new women we don't get to see all the time in there, but kind of have a more or less set Dynamite guys. They kind of did that when Punk was there over the summer. But it seems more now like it's just a much more streamlined, everything you see is important to at least a marginal degree, and everything makes you want to kind of see where it's going next. And this is the best story-wise and as 2 hours of entertainment I think Dynamite has been in a very long time, if ever.
Yeah. It definitely had that je ne sais quoi, so...
It's already been used.
I know. I ran out of French sayings. I'm sorry, man. I can start quoting hockey players if you want.
Le Gros Bite. Yeah.
This is a little Fontaine.
Le Captain Kirk.
Pieter Jean.
Jesus.
Okay. Well, on that note, we're gonna get the French out of here. Thank you guys for joining. Thank you for listening. We appreciate you guys giving us some of your time. We're going to be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. Quick little heads up and reminder. We're just a few weeks away from World's End. So the 30th is Saturday. The 30th is World's End. Thankfully, Mizzou doesn't play football that night, so I'll be focused on that. We will have the belt up for grabs. Hopefully, myself or Austin can rip that damn thing off of Jamie's hands. This is the time.
One of these times, it's coming.
It's got to be there. We were close. Like last time, there was one major decision that if you took one side or the other on it, you won. And we both went one way. Jamie went the other. And he ended up winning. So we're right there.
Because that's what champions do. Champions find a way to win.
No, it's coming. Me and Jay White are winning the championship on the same night.
Well, we'll have more about that in the upcoming
consecutive.
weeks here. We're just a few weeks out. I imagine, because if I look at my calendar here, next week we're about 2.5 weeks away. So I think we're going to start to get starting on next week's show, probably get some motion. What we're going to do with the women, what the other match is going to be. We know there's the MJF Samoa Joe. We know we got the winner of the Continental Classic, right? What else going on there? I think next week we're going to start getting some beginnings of bookings. So that's coming into play here. But we'll be back next week. Same bad time, same bad channel. We're going to talk more about it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If it's your first time here, hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Hit the like button. Helps us out quite a bit. And if you want to hit us up, you can always hit us up on Twitter at Total Spotfest. So with that being said, Jamie, take us home, man.
That's a lot of words, man. All right, ladies and gentlemen.
I tried to get through it all as fast as possible.
I got 4 words for you. A penis in the household.
Go watch Super Troopers 2. See y'all next week.
Peace.
Later.